Welcome to Talksicology, brought to you by Recovery Unplugged, the place where we talk about all things substance abuse, recovery, and mental health, with guests offering varying perspectives and viewpoints. Hosts Joseph Gordo and Jason Cabello share about their addiction and recovery and other serious subject matter through lighthearted yet candid conversation.
Peter Maldanado.
What's up, man?
To the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really bummed that Jason, viewers, loyal listeners, Jason is not here today. And I'm really bummed that he's not here because I feel like you two would have gotten along real good.
Have I met Jason?
Jason Cabello, he's
Name sounds familiar.
how old is Jason's like 50, but you can't tell he's 50. He's a skater guy. He does a lot of our video.
Daywalker.
Yeah, he did a lot of drugs. He found the perfect like preservation cocktail of drugs.
I mean, yeah, heroin will do that.
Yeah. But I was thinking about how to explain Peter Maldanado to our viewers. And it's friend, brother in recovery, treatment professional, BD guy, business owner, entrepreneur. Like there's a lot of fucking words for you, Peter. There used to just be one, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Fucking
junkie,
yeah. Drug addict. But I know a little bit about your story, but you and I met, I want to say we've probably known each other like
when you moved here.
Yeah.
In Kerrville, right?
So probably like 10 years now.
It's been time flies.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think you were a clinician at Inc. West?
Yeah, that is right. Yeah. And then
LCDCI, I think?
Was I still an intern at Anchor West? No, I think I was LCDC by that point.
I think I remember having one of your business cards that had the eye on it.
Oh,
somewhere.
Yeah, I was an intern a long, long time ago. It's funny because we have a lot of interns at work and they apply for their stuff and I'll be like, well, this is how I did it. But that was 13 years
Get old,
ago.
bud. We're getting a little older.
I'm turning 40 next week.
Dang, yeah, I'm right behind you, man. Yeah. Which that's not old, but
I mean, I don't feel old, but
I feel like I'm stuck in time sometimes, when recovery started for me, when my life kind of really started.
Yeah.
Young 21-year-old.
Yeah, you were a baby when you got
21-year-old and even, working at a detox center at 22, sometimes I feel like I'm emotionally or mentally stuck in that, especially since I'm still doing that. I mean, at a different level now, but I still sometimes revert to I'm new here, someone help.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think some of I don't know if you get this, but I very much struggle with imposter syndrome. People say nice things to me and even if I accept the compliments, my brain is very much telling me nah, that's fucking bullshit. They're just saying that.
I had to work really hard on that approximately 3-4 years ago. I intentionally worked on that because I know what you're talking about. And I still get it, but not to the, it was an issue before to where it was blunting my growth, blunting opportunities. So I had to make an intentional, effort to work on that.
So that's the secret is decide to do something about it instead of just, I don't just have to walk around all day going, I have imposter syndrome.
I mean, you have the right to do that, right? I have a whole mentor that used to say you have the right to be as miserable as you want.
Oh, fuck. Are we doing therapy today or what are we doing?
We can, but the other side of that coin is you get to be as free as you want.
What if I'm just comfortable in my mild discomfort? Then it's great, right? It's fine. No. Look, okay, we're talking about you today. we're not here to talk about me.
Spiritual mirror.
I talk too much anyway. But so I think there's some really cool stuff in your story that I definitely want to touch on. But honestly, the biggest blank spot to me is your story before you got sober. I know you're in recovery. I know that you're from Nacogdoches.
Lufkin. Close.
Lufkin, fucking those two cities up there, fucking.
I sold a lot of overpriced cocaine in Nacogdoches.
Yeah? Overpriced cocaine.
To college kids, yeah.
Yeah.
White college kids.
You'll appreciate this. So back in the day, I don't know if it's still true, but there was a route you could take from Laredo to South Padre without passing a checkpoint. And so in Laredo,
it's now come in handy.
You could get a pound of weed and this is dating myself. I don't think you can get a pound of weed for this anymore. But back then, you could get a pound of Mexican swag.
Kind of legal now.
For you get it for $100.
Well, that was a good deal back then.
And so we would drive to South Padre during spring break, and we would find college kids from like Oklahoma, Dallas, Louisiana, places where weed wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And we would sell them these $100 pounds for like $400 or $500.
That's the lick, bro.
Yeah, and we were like juniors in high school, just like flipping like $2,000 like every day, the whole month of March, just going off. It was
just think you're so badass. And up.
We thought we were fucking Scarface.
Yeah, bro.
Scarface, bro. But so you're from Lufkin.
Lufkin, Texas.
What was your home life like growing up? You know, I mean, both parents, no parents.
Yeah. Parents are still
parents.
together to this day.
Yeah.
56 or 7 years married.
Dude, that is such a rare thing.
They've been together longer than not.
They like each other?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. But so growing up, like, I mean, what kind of kid were you? I mean, were you like a well-balanced kid and something fucking went wrong?
Pretty shy, actually. I was, grew up around a lot of women, right?
Yeah.
5 sisters.
Same.
And
well, not
also,
5 sisters, but a lot of women.
Hispanic, which you know, right?
Yeah.
Hispanic household, can be multiple generations. And we'll talk more about that because here recently, I've been really diving into wanting to learn more about Hispanic culture because I haven't really like looked into that.
Yeah.
I kind of had 2 moms growing up.
Yeah.
My aunt who lived with us, I was her favorite. I was like, no one could touch me.
You're the baby boy. You're consentido.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Spoiled youngest male, get treated like a prince, waited on hand and foot, all the things. Pretty naive growing up. Pretty, like sheltered. Catholic upbringing, and
so I get these questions, and if I don't ask them immediately, I lose them, right? But like, so you got sober through primarily 12-step recovery, like I did, right? And one of the things that they teach us is, you're the problem, right? Selfish, self-centeredness to the core, that's the root of our dilemma, right? All that kind of stuff, right? Do you think maybe, because I grew up in the same Hispanic culture, right? Around a bunch of women. I was the oldest male, and I was the first grandkid. So like very much like the consentido, right? Like
you're chosen. Almost.
Yes. Very, and that culture of like, the women just sort of naturally have this sense of servitude, right or wrong, towards the men of like, don't get up, I'll bring you a plate, popping in on my room when I was like 8 years old, like, do you need anything? Can I bring you something, right? Like, do you think that growing up like that set up a little bit of like entitlement and self-centeredness challenges that you had to face in recovery?
I do. I feel like, and I feel like everyone experiences it differently, or, I guess receives it differently. And later on, as I got older, everything was always done for me, right? Like you're explaining as a kid, like I learned how to do laundry when I was 18 in rehab.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how to do laundry. This grown man, crackhead, teaching me how to do laundry. I was probably 19, maybe 18, 19. First time in rehab, 2006. And just all that to say is that later as an adult, as a young adult, I started to feel a lot of shame and guilt and anger towards being babied my whole life.
Really, like they took something from you?
Oh, not even. Maybe yes, but more so disrespect.
Yeah.
Like I'm not good enough to do my own laundry. Yeah. You don't think I'm competent enough to fend for clean up after myself or whatever.
Do you think that you genuinely feel like your family didn't think that you were capable of doing those things? Or do you think
Absolutely
it came from
not.
like this type of love and you just misinterpreted it?
Yes.
Okay.
Misinterpreted it. It's how the feelings felt. I don't believe all feelings are real, rooted in reality. So, but yeah, to answer your question, that was my experience with it, feeling like I couldn't do life.
Yeah.
Not ill prepared.
Yeah. See, and I never experienced that like sentiment around it. Like, I was kind of wronged and not being taught these things. Like, because one of the things that I continually have to work on alongside my imposter syndrome is my ego, right? Because I was told my whole upbringing that like I was fucking hot shit, right? Like you're so smart and you're so this and you know.
I definitely had a lot of that as well, but I feel like my ego was more of like being the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
It was self-deprecating.
Yeah.
I remember when I first went to meetings before treatment, before I was taking a friend because he had a problem.
Oh, he had a problem.
He didn't have a license, so I had to drive him to a 12-step meeting.
To get his PO card signed or what?
That's right. Yeah. We didn't realize we could just sign it for each other. But I used to think, I'd be sitting in rooms and think like, and I already had a problem. But I mean, I started smoking meth and shooting coke around 16, 17.
Oof.
And smoking crack, all that fun stuff. But I remember thinking when being around people in recovery, I was like, you guys don't use like I do then.
Yeah.
Like if you get high and drunk like I do, there is no getting sober. Yeah. Like you guys are pussies. Y'all are fucking alcoholics.
Yeah.
Choose a real drug.
See, I had the same thing, right? And I think this is true of most heroin addicts in particular. Not opiate addicts. Heroin addicts, right? Maybe now it's the fentanyl kids, but like
the fentanyl kids,
you know,
it's the name for a band.
There was fentanyl, like, but like there was definitely, you know, in treatment and in rooms, in meetings, you know, I know there was definitely this like undercurrent of like, I mean, like, yeah, you smoked crack, but like, I shot heroin. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know what's up, and that's all bullshit, right?
That's right.
Like everybody's experience is valid, and has, you know, everyone's challenges are real to them, right? Like it doesn't matter, you know, what lifestyle you're leading. Like your biggest challenge is your biggest challenge, right? And we don't have to like fucking compare them.
There's no point in that, you know. I mean, it's cool to connect and relate. And where was I? I was in a meeting recently, and it was brought up, right? Like it's like we could feel like we can all connect because it's like we've been in that misery together, even though we weren't together, but it's like we know. Yeah. I was talking to a friend last week, actually. Sasha Coles. You know Sasha?
No.
Plug for Sasha.
You know all these Houston people that I don't.
She was in the Generation Found film.
Yeah. I've probably seen her on the big screen.
But we were talking and
talking about connection,
you know, talking about that bottom or whatever, it's spiritual bottom. People phrase it different ways and all that stuff. And I remember being at one of my bottoms, or what I like to think of as the bottom, of not being able to complete suicide successfully.
Yeah.
And not being able to live life successfully. Yeah. So like I suck at living and dying. And I was jealous of people who could do it. Yeah. And people who'd overdose, or my attempts to overdose, I'd wake up. I hung myself once. My dad found me.
Oh man.
Pocket knife, cut the belt, and I woke up to the concrete slamming against my face. Oof. Like I was unconscious. Yeah. Woke up pissed off.
Like fuck. Yeah. So I feel like we went from 0 to 60 here.
Very fast.
Because like we were like, oh, good upbringing, Catholic. And they were like, smoke meth, commit suicide. Like, so I guess, you know, things were good, right?
Things were good
for young Peter.
Yeah.
And where do you see that things start to turn? Like maybe
sophomore year in high school.
Okay, so sophomore year, what? You're experimenting with a little bit of weed, a little bit of alcohol.
A little bit of weed. And then, let's see. Yeah, it was that summer, and I remember falling in love with weed.
Yeah.
And just decided to smoke it every day. The whole summer, and looking down on any other drug. So pills, coke, everything else. Yeah. I was like,
weeds from the earth.
Just,
you know, the Rastafarians used it to get closer to God.
Listening to Incubus and smoked a lot of weed.
Which album? Morning View, Science.
What was 2004, 2005?
I think that would have been Morning View.
Morning View?
Yeah, the one with aqueous transmission. And, Yeah.
So this was that summer. By the new year, so December, I was eating Xanax, taking ecstasy, doing coke. Yeah. Like it lasted 6 months.
So I had that same attitude about, you know, weed and mushrooms were like cool and everything else was bad. And I know, like, I had a series of justifications, you know, for myself on why things became okay. But like, what what kind of like mental aerobics were you doing as you went through that process? Was it just like, if this gets me this high, how much can that get me high? Or kind of what do you remember happening back then?
I remember, I think the first real drug I did after weed, I think it was ecstasy.
The first real drug.
First real drug. I think it was ecstasy.
Yeah.
And I had a fucking blast, dude.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And I rolled for 3 nights in a row, hanging out with older kids, and it was coming down, a day later. And they're like, well, you know what fixes that? Is you take another one.
Yeah.
So I did that 3 days
and
in a row.
For the viewers at home, what Peter's talking about is when you take MDMA, there is a flood dump of like dopamine and serotonin and all oxytocin, all the different neurotransmitters that make you feel good, right? And then once those all get, disseminated through your body and it wear off, then you find yourself in a deficit. So you feel real sad.
Real sad, real crummy.
Yeah.
I remember drinking water.
Yeah.
And just feeling like my body was like a sponge.
Like you were like a husk. Yeah.
So that escalated quickly, right? From just weed to my first time with ecstasy, rolling 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, my mind quickly went to like, I want to try everything.
I've tried 2 drugs and they were both great.
Yeah.
Why not try all the drugs?
Cocaine was probably the drug I did the most.
Yeah.
Had some family members that sold it, so easy access, all that fun stuff. And then the paranoia would come in, so I had to take some Xanax to
mellow out,
chill out.
Absolutely. Now, so you start, you go pretty quick from weed to basically trash can, right? What you got, I'm gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's a period of time there where it was good, like you were doing
fun.
all this
was
stuff.
also during like the Jackass era, where we're all doing dumb shit, skateboarding off of roofs, and just all the dumb shit, and very much sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah.
I'm young, 15, 16.
Yeah.
So let's just get really loaded.
Yeah. So no consequences at first, but then eventually things take a turn.
Yeah. Senior year in high school. My birthday's in December, right? So I just turned 18. And I get busted with cocaine at school. So now,
right after you turn 18,
I'm an adult with a controlled substance in the school zone.
Yeah, so that's automatically a felony, right?
They went easy on me and just got me expelled.
Okay.
They did me a favor, and I was not allowed. Because I remember, I was like really loaded, but I remember going with my mom to different schools trying to enroll, and they were like, no, you can't come here.
So how did you finish high school?
In rehab.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Fucking rehab, dude. I was like 19, got my GED in rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now so you got expelled right after you turned 18.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your parents' reaction to all this?
Disappointed, upset, but also feeling like they've lost control, like they couldn't do anything about it. Like I was just kind of calling the shots and just doing whatever I wanted, and
which is kind of true. Yeah.
Well, they would like ground me by taking my car keys, and I would just go and get them back.
Yeah.
From the car, like the key hooks.
Yeah. They wouldn't put them away.
Well, that was them putting them away, and I was like, okay,
I'm just gonna fucking go anyway.
Yeah. And they just couldn't. I mean, I rarely slept, so it's like you gotta sleep sometime.
Yeah. So then, how do you end up in rehab the first time?
Every time I've been to rehab was through the great state of Texas.
Yeah.
Has scholarshiped me to
Yeah.
treatment. I ended up in rehab at 18, 19. That's when I learned how to shoot up cocaine in rehab. So I was just snorting a bunch of blow. So by the time I went, I'd snort like half a gram in one sniff.
Yeah.
In a bunch of Xanax. And then I learned how to shoot up in treatment. So then it's like, well, I've never done that before.
Some fucking tweaker guy named Mike. He's like, let me tell you, kid.
And every relapse started with alcohol.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not old enough to drink.
Everybody drinks. What do you mean?
I did
It's
the
not
whole
drug,
like, hey,
right?
mister, to get drunk and relapse the first time I got loaded.
Yeah.
After being sober like 90 days. So that happened. Within a year, I was back in treatment again.
You never went into treatment with the intention of getting sober. You were just getting sent to treatment and had to.
I feel like there was even from the very beginning, like it's like, this isn't good. Like this isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
I didn't have hope that I could get sober, but I know that like my life would be better if I was.
Yeah.
So it was just a combination. It wasn't very black and white. I mean, yes, it was court ordered. And there was moments in rehab where I'm like, yeah, dude, like
this is great.
Yeah. Like this is, I like having a normal sleep pattern. I like, not being paranoid and running from shit.
3 meals a day, go to group.
Dude, I was horrible with the shadows and all. Like, people didn't like getting high with me. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, we would go and get a bag or whatever, and we just divide it up. They're like, all right, dude, like, you got to leave.
Yeah.
Like, you can't stay here.
Yeah. You're harshing my fucking vibe over here. Oh, no.
I'd make everyone look out the window and look at the shadows and just
see, I was never a meth guy, so I've never personally experienced the shadows, but I hear
it was torture, dude. And I'd come down and like the next day or whatever, and I'd realize how fucking like out of pocket I was. Like, dude, I was almost embarrassed. It's ridiculous. And then do it again.
That's the thing that I think normal people don't understand about like when you're really in your addiction is that like,
well, that's how
the
bad
worst
reality
shit can happen.
sucks.
Yeah,
is that I resort to that.
Yeah.
Knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yes.
And I would even try to psych myself up. I would, by this time I'm shooting up already. And I would fix up and then I would walk outside.
Yeah.
And be like, look, there's no one here. There's no one in the bushes. No one at the window. And then as soon as I would hit, that's when they show up.
Like, I was wrong.
They're here.
There they are.
Now they're here. So that cycled a lot. There's a lot of that.
So in and out of treatment for a while, right? Finally, you get sober at 21.
21.
Did you ever have a legal drink?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. It was funny because I was going to this bar that I was frequenting, and it was my 21st birthday. But I'd already been drinking there for a while, so I was like, I can't tell them that this is like I'm celebrating. Like I can't do the 20. What was it? Is people get?
You get a free
shot?
Free beer? Yeah, something.
I was going to say you get 21 shots, right? I was like, that's not.
Oh, that's too much.
That's not too much.
No, not normal people don't do 21 shots. Yeah,
it sounded nice.
Maybe like 3 shots of Seagram's with 7 or something.
I don't know.
So
I didn't get to experience that, to answer your question. But this last time, yeah. So my mom saved my life.
Yeah. Shout out to all the moms.
Mom called the cops on me. Yeah. This is the same mom that like enabled me, would give me money. I'd wreck my car. I'd run from it. She would take the blame.
Do your laundry.
She was in the car. She's the one that wrecked it because I didn't have a license.
Shut up. She took the fall for you on a car accident?
She's fucking ride or die, bro.
Bro, we make our families so fucking sick.
I remember sitting like this cop, mom, me.
Yeah.
And everyone in that room knew that like the statement was not real.
Yeah. It's like, whatever.
Bureaucratic bullshit. Like we're just going through the process.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, at one point.
But she called the cops on me and saved my life.
At one point in my addiction, I had my mom so sick that like she would leave $20 on my nightstand before she would leave to work in the hopes that I wouldn't do anything illegal that day to try to fix up.
Parents don't know anything about drugs.
Yeah.
And I had convinced my parents that I needed to wean off of cocaine like someone needed to wean off heroin.
I need a coke taper? I've never.
Yes. So they would give me money to go, and then I would give them a bag to hold and divvy out to me, except the bag I would give them was a bag of salt.
And then you just do the whole thing?
Yeah. I would get my shit and do it, and then to placate them, I would give them a bag of salt. Like, all right, I'm only getting a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And then...
And it takes months to wean off of cocaine. Right?
Well, no, then because I would fucking... I would screw up my own hustle because then I would run out of my shit.
Yeah.
And they think they still have stuff to give me, to divvy out to me.
And they're like, why aren't you okay?
Yeah. And I'm like, that's fucking salt. Like, I need dope. Like,
oh no.
Yeah.
But so you finally get sober at 21. What's different about that last time in treatment, or maybe even after treatment? Like, what changes?
The paperwork I signed was a minimum of 6 months up to 24 months.
Yeah.
Austin, Texas. This facility called the McCabe Center, East MLK. I don't think it's no longer there.
It's called something else now.
I think they changed it to a homeless shelter. Yeah. I don't remember. This was 2008, April 29, 2008. April 28, 2008 was when I was supposed to show up there.
Yeah.
And I did. Parents dragged me there in the back of the Suburban, in the very, very, very back, like hiding from shadow people, shooting up the whole way. And mom,
You
dad,
had a great suspension.
sister, everyone driving.
Whole fucking family.
Whole family's
Let's take
driving
Peter
me
to
to rehab, and I'm crouched like in the just hiding.
Yeah.
Shooting up the whole way.
Yeah.
And got to treatment. Horrible treatment center. People were getting loaded. My roommate was getting drunk. There's people hooking up. There was staff hooking up with clients. Like it was, half of it was a federal facility. The half was a state funded facility. But what happened was during the weekends on Saturdays and Sundays, this thing called an H&I would come in and do a meeting. And that's when I met Greg Rolfe, Jonathan Ivey, Jeff Cadu, Ashton Constantine, Eric Button. There's a few. Trey, a couple other people.
Trey Moore?
No, Trey.
He's
from Houston.
Anyway, to you, loyal listener / viewer, and H&I stands for Hospitals and Institutions. And that is when members of different 12-step and recovery fellowships go into hospitals and institutions to take them a message of hope and recovery.
Institution. I was an institution.
And Peter, you were very blessed that you got some heavy hitters coming in to do H&Is in this place.
Greg Rolfe sponsored me pretty much the whole time I lived here in Austin. And he's a pretty energetic guy.
Yeah.
When he would share and stuff, talk about doing meth and all that. I was like, this guy's... So I asked him to be my sponsor because I was like, this dude might be getting loaded. He's happy as fuck. And if he is, he can sneak me some shit. He can bring me some stuff in. Or...
You're like, I want what he has.
Yes, that was subjective. I was like, what do you have, bro? So thus started step work. I was there for a long ass time, 6 months. So I got, through some step work, got through some amends. I got to go halfway through my stay. I got to go to work. I got to get a job. I was working at Einstein's Bagels on the drag.
Nice.
Right on campus. And so this was like a correctional type of facilities, life skills type of stuff. So this is one of my first amends that really bought me into this whole higher power thing.
Yeah.
I fucking hated God. This whole God thing, didn't believe in it. I remember when Greg and I were doing step work, we got to the whole step 2 thing. Up to this point, I'd been blowing smoke and just bullshitting people. My probation officer, counselor, everyone, I believe in God. I'm higher power, blah, blah, blah. I'm praying. And then Greg approached me with this question and he said, do you believe in God? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, okay, do you believe that I believe?
Buddy.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I've already told my PO. And all he said was, do you believe that I believe in God? And I was like, sure, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
I'll humor you. But I had I have some blasphemous tattoos on me, put it to you that way.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see one right there.
A couple upside down crosses.
Yeah.
And I used to do that. All the crucifixes at home, I would turn them all upside down for my mom.
Oh, such a rebel.
I was just fucking little shithead. And shot up with holy water once.
Oh, wow.
That was, yeah.
Oh, man, I never did that. Man, you're going to hell, bro. No.
That was a funny story.
Was it the only water you had available to you, or you were just being...
I'd wrecked my car once, one of my mini cars. Walking home. So Saturday night, wrecked my car. And I'm walking on the freeway, main highway, just walking home, barred out of my mind. And my sister's going to church Sunday morning, sees me, turns around, picks me up, takes me to church. So I'm high as fuck, nodding out on front pew, all that, and then I remember I have some stuff on me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go fix up and go to the bathroom. Walking next to where you enter the Catholic church. So I just walked by and just pulled up a full cc of water and just
you're for sure going to hell.
It was
Oh
But,
my God.
but
We
yeah.
were getting to like you getting sober, and now we're like shooting up with holy water.
It started like at the McCabe Center, doing the work with Greg and discharging from the McCabe Center, right?
Yeah.
Part of the discharge plan was to have, it was like $200 or $400 in savings. You got to show a bank statement to like life skill stuff, right?
Yeah.
You could be an adult. And I saw a lot of people relapse on that money, like discharging right before me.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. And I was, really liking my sober life and first real job. Like, I remember feeling really awkward. I didn't know how to open up a bank account.
Yeah.
It was 2008. But, walked through all these firsts and these fears and these things, and life was cool. So I get out of treatment around Thanksgiving of 2008 and going to Lufkin. I'm going to Thanksgiving, family, whatever.
Yeah.
But Greg's also like, you're making an amends trip. Like, you're making amends. And at the time, I had these legs at these certain chevrons where I would steal gas for years from these, it's like 2 or 3 chevrons in Lufkin, Texas. And doing everything the right way, I told my PO, I'm leaving the county. I'm leaving Travis County to go Lufkin, blah, blah, blah. She's like, what's the purpose of your trip? And I could have gotten away with just like, it's Thanksgiving. Like, family. Like,
maybe some turkey stuff.
Yeah, come back. Because I went to sober living. I was living in Austin at the time. I went to one of Abe's houses, 51st Street.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I think this was before UDOM existed. So I told my PO, right? Because I'm being honest, all this shit, right? And so I have to make this amends trip. And so I'm like, fuck, I'm about to incriminate myself. I'm about to like snitch on myself. Telling this police officer the shit that I'm up to. It's selling a lot of computer software from Walmart. So Walmart was one of the ones on the list. And so was this gas station thing. So I tell her, all right, doing this honest thing, this fucking recovery thing, whatever. And she's like, wait, what gas stations? And tell her.
Yeah.
She says, my husband goes hunting with the owner of those gas stations.
Shut up.
How about you write him a letter or contact him directly? Yeah. Right? I seek counsel from sponsor, all the shit. Write this guy a letter.
And Greg's like, yeah, God and the universe want you to talk to this dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So I write this dude a letter. And he responds and he said, donate what you have to this United Way.
Yeah.
And what did I have? It was the $400 that I was praying about. Like, God,
so
keep
that
me
you
sober.
Would relapse with him.
Yes. So prayer answered, right?
Yeah.
Not how there was a lot of things orchestrated. There was a lot of things beyond my control. And what I then realized was a lot of beyond human control. There was just so many coincidences.
Yeah.
That I'm like, all right, like there's something, like I'm
something's happening.
Talking about it. Like something's like, all right, this God thing, I guess. Because up until that point, like this whole God thing had been a theological, just a historical thing. It had nothing to do with me now. Yeah. It's like this fucking history shit. Like, I don't care about this. I'm too selfish to care.
Yeah.
But what I was experiencing was here now, and it had to do with me. And not just that, but I was a willing participant in the process.
Yeah.
So just like any good addict, I was like, how can I get more of this? And then thus started my recovery journey. And I'd like to think that I'm a good student, mainly because I was beaten into submission a lot by life and by my own decisions. And still pretty, bright, pretty like after all the shit that I put my brain through, like, did a lot of inhalants and all that other shit, and still pretty together for.
I think you're pretty together.
Yeah. And I was like, I just really saw it as a skill that could be developed.
Yeah.
Can I get good at this, like
recovery stuff,
participating with the universe and orchestrating and conspiring for goodwill?
Dude, I love it. I love it. So I want to fast forward a little bit. Because like, I know you've got cool stories about young in recovery here in Austin and a whole crew of people that are still running around Austin sober, right?
Yeah.
But there's some stuff in your story that I think is unique and super beneficial for people at home who are listening to this show, right? To the dozens and dozens. No, we got a video on YouTube. It's like over 1 million views.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But so, and you probably don't know this, but you have been mentioned on this show before. Not by name, but, we started this show during COVID. Mm-hmm. because of that show on Hulu. Was it called Dope Sick? What was it called? Dope Sick.
I think that was on Hulu.
Yeah. With Michael Keaton. This show started as like a live podcast that we would do right after a new episode would drop, talking about the episode and addiction and all that kind of stuff. But in those conversations, right, one thing that came up probably a couple times was the amount of people in recovery that relapsed during COVID, and obviously I never mentioned you by name, but like anytime that topic would come up.
Oh, this is the thing I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
But so I was thinking of you.
Yeah, no,
and,
for sure.
And
I think I talked to you when I was in detox.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty
you wanted to come to Recovery Unplugged at one point, and I was like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, there's just a few people.
And I tried to send you to Tennessee. I was like, go to Tennessee, Recovery Unplugged.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, you were high.
I was high.
I sent you cigarettes.
You did send me cigarettes.
Because we had left. We spent like a month in St. Louis because we could during COVID.
Yeah.
And you were at...
I wasn't even a smoker.
You were at a detox here in Austin. And we sent you... I like figured out how to DoorDash cigarettes to you.
Yeah.
At detox.
Dude,
I want to say they were Camel Crushes.
Yes. Actually.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember when you said that. I remember dude, I'm not even a smoker, dude. I don't use nicotine.
Yeah, but you were in
products.
fucking rehab.
I was in rehab, bro. I had to.
But so what we're saying is that
relapse is part of my story.
Yes, relapse is part of your story.
Yes,
right.
And I hate when people say, I'm not a fan of when people say relapse is part of recovery because that's an oxymoron. Like, relapse is absence of recovery.
Yeah.
So I like to say
it's like the opposite.
Correct. It's lack of.
Yeah.
So I like to say that relapse is part of my story.
Yeah.
Well, so there's no recovery going on.
So what happened? Because like, you had what, 10, 11 years sober at that point.
Coming up on 11 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and you I want to like paint a picture here, right? Like you had established a life, like you were a professional, you were making good money, had your daughter in your life, showing up for her as a dad, like shit was going good.
Really good. Yes. Blessed beyond, kid who got his GED in rehab.
Yeah.
College dropout and college dropout sober and recovery college dropout. Yes. So it's funny because it's like it's the same old shit you hear all the time though. It's like to be honest, in my story, I had stopped, being as diligent with my recovery probably 1 to 2 years prior to relapse. And I was just coasting on self-willing it and
no meetings, no service work.
Service work is still huge now. I got 2 sponsees right now that are doing some really cool shit back in Houston. And like stopped doing everything that got me to where I was.
Yeah.
Lost connection with that. The world ending didn't help.
No, I don't think it helped. People, yeah.
And really making my career, my job, goals, a higher power.
Yeah.
And losing touch, 100% losing touch to what I was saying earlier, the story of like
being a part of and connected to and all that. Yeah.
So, and it's one of those things, at least in my experience, in my opinion, is I talked to a lot of people who've relapsed as well. And after I came out openly about, this is the second podcast I've talked about this relapse, third actually, people reached out to me in recovery or who, professionals who had relapsed and as well. And, what a blessing. It's not luck. So the ability to be able to be there for someone.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to answer your question, it's just same old shit and disconnected from power and was having panic attacks, anxiety, all this shit. Talked my doc and giving me some Ativan for panic attacks. And this goes back to the alcoholic mind. I did not want to relapse, right?
Yeah.
This is insane, even talking about it out loud, but I was like, well, I was obsessed about not taking more than prescribed.
Yeah. As long as I don't take more than prescribed, I'm good, right?
But if I drink on top of one, I'll feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And I won't take more than prescribed.
So the drink was okay.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was going to amplify the benzo, all that shit. And as insane and as like I sold myself that idea, I was so disconnected from power and logic, and I guess on some level hurting so bad that I needed some type of relief, that I was like, yeah, fuck it, that'll work.
Sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's like in the Big Book, the guy that puts the whiskey in the milk.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, if whiskey's in milk, it's fine,
It's
right?
the second sandwich.
Yeah.
He needs.
But
No, it's exactly like that, dude. And that's exactly what happened. And then within a week, I'm shooting coke again. It was all a blur. It was a lot of Xanax, a lot of coke.
Yeah.
Woke up with rug burn on my face.
And you were out that long.
No.
Right? I feel like it was like a month or less than a month.
Like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reached out to you, reached out to a couple other friends.
Yeah.
Reached out to Frank Parisi, my employer.
Yeah.
And, cried for help. I remember during that relapse, I think the first times I shot up coke, and like I was kind of getting away with it, like nothing bad was happening. And like something deep down in me was like, you need to and I had a bag in the car that I went and like threw in the dumpster.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I can cut it off right now, like no one has to know.
Gotta tell nobody.
Yeah, like there's no cops involved per usual. Usually there's cops involved in my story. So I was like, we could fucking stop this right now, dude. Like this aha moment of like, cut the shit off. Within a few hours, I'm in the fucking dumpster.
Yes.
In the the apartment dumpster. Looking for that.
Yeah, that's, I never threw away any drugs, right? I did all the drugs.
I flushed a lot of drugs.
But many, many times I threw all my rigs out, and found myself hours later in some vacant lot trying to figure out which syringes were mine.
Yeah.
Because there was lots of other.
Sharing is caring.
But yeah, so originally you got sober in 2008, got sober again in 2020.
May 2nd, 2020.
May 2nd, 2020.
Yeah.
So you just celebrated 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
4 years, dude.
So, we all talk about like our early recovery, and like, I always feel like, especially in that first year, that like, you're just like everything feels new, right? Like everything's exciting and shiny. It's like, oh my God, like I just paid rent, and oh my God, I got a girlfriend, or I got a job, or I have real friends now, or just all, I peed in this cup and I wasn't worried about it at all, right? Like all these cool.
I was on probation for 7 years, bro.
Ooh. But like all those cool firsts that come with like early recovery, what was that like experiencing all those things a second time? Was it just like non-existent? Were there new things that you experienced that you were just like, this is fucking awesome?
Great question. No, I mean, I did battle with the whole like feeling sorry for myself, throwing away 10, 11 years, whatever, guilt, shame, people knowing, both professionals in behavioral health. So that being a thing, and that didn't last long. It's like, all right, like, here I am, like going through this. It's kind of expected and anticipated. So let's just fucking truck on through this.
Yeah.
And I could be an all or nothing type of person. So like the first opportunity to speak about this publicly, it was with Kinsey Lyon on her.
I remember it was
Coffee with Kinsey.
Yeah.
Facebook Live, I think it was. She scheduled it, and I caught her off guard. I didn't tell her that I was going to talk about this.
Really?
She didn't know I'd relapsed.
Shut up.
Yeah. So like her live reaction on that is real.
Oh, I got to go back and watch that.
Coffee with Kinsey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like within the first year or less.
Yeah.
I was like, well, let's all fucking get through it.
I feel like it was real quick. I feel like you had like 4 or 5 months or something.
I was like, I mean, people are talking anyways. Like, let me just go ahead and be honest.
Well, I will say, like, I've seen unfortunately, like lots of people
Mhm.
established in recovery or in the business of treatment relapse. And not everybody gets welcomed back with open arms, you know, and it's something that's always bugged me, you know, it's like, how do we decide like this guy's still cool and this guy's like excommunicado or whatever, right? And like, you know, I definitely remember like during the aftermath of like you relapse, you know, like obviously like, there's gossip and stuff and whatever, but like everybody that I talked to was like supportive of you and like positive towards you. And I think that says a lot about who you are, you know, and the relationships that you've made in recovery, that like when you fucked up, like the community didn't turn its back on you. Because you know the community can absolutely turn its back on people.
Yeah, and I guess my first thought when you were saying is like people were just probably being diplomatic about it and professional, and
No,
you have to give like your scripted like, and you know, not to sound cold or whatever, but you know, I don't. Somewhere along the journey, like I've stopped, and I'm not perfect at this, but I don't get my value from what people think or say, and it just goes both ways, right? Like, you know, cool things happen in my life. It's like, all right, love it, cool, awesome. It's the non-attachment, you know, Zen Buddhist mentality of if I'm not attached, I get to be in the present moment when I can experience the experience and have fun with it and be, you know, but not have to continuously try to relive it or recreate it.
Yeah.
Because same goes for like the negative or like the not so cool times. It's like, all right, be in it, be present for it, feel it all the way, and keep on trucking.
Yeah.
You know, but kind of sidetracked that. But because I remember this was like a year ago where someone was talking to me and had brought it up. We were having a serious conversation. And they talked about like protecting my name or whatever during that, where some people were saying, and you know, she's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you who. I was like, I don't, it's none of my business. Like, I don't care.
Fuck, I want to know right now. Like, who the fuck?
Well, and it isn't, man. It's none of my business. Other people's recovery or ideas of recovery or whatever, lifestyle, spirituality is none of my business. Yeah. And what they think of me is none of my business. Yeah. You know, and I think it's a cool, like, quirky saying. I'm sure you've heard it before, but to live it, and I'm not perfect at it.
Yeah.
But there's come a lot of peace and a lot of opposite of drama.
Yeah. The opposite of drama. Yeah. So the last thing I'm curious about with kind of your relapse and your renewed recovery is, you know, are you doing, you know, your program, right? Is it the same program, but just deepening that understanding and the way you work it? Or like, has there been new things that have been implemented into your recovery that have, you know, helped sustain you in this current recovery?
I feel like almost the opposite, man. I feel like all the corny things, just keeping it simple. Like, yeah, you know, early in my recovery, in my 20s, you know, I nerded out on the history of AA and learned about a lot of cool shit. And all that's great, right?
Yeah.
Novelty and whatnot. But I stopped trying to make it this like levels to it.
Yeah.
And just go to fundamentals are there.
You're trying to compete with other people.
Yeah. It's just like you can get as complex and you know, make, you know, I've been guilty of this and I've seen people make the practice the higher power instead of letting the practice connect you to the source of power. It's still false worship. Like it's still false.
Yeah. Well, because the practice is something that you're doing,
which goes against step one. If I can manage it, then I'm not unmanageable.
If I pray enough, if I meditate enough, if I
go to more
journal enough,
I was like, you in my opinion, I'm not living in step one because I'm managing my sobriety.
I like that. I've never thought about it.
That means I'm not unmanageable. I don't agree with it.
Wow.
So to answer your question, I went back to like the dorky, dumb, simplistic, like didn't try to complicate it or make it this weird. You know,
it's fucking spiritual kindergarten.
And cool shit's happen. I got, you know, I talked about this earlier. I got 2 new sponsees right now. They're not new anymore, but been working with them and like One of them I've known for over 10 years in and out of treatment.
Yeah.
And he's doing great, dude. He's, as long as he's been
That's
sober and keeping it real clear, dude. Like it has nothing to do with me keeping him sober. Like I get to be a channel. I get to be used as a vessel. And back to, the story of orchestrating with the universe, and my job is to be clear and conscious enough to know my role. Yeah. So kind of like The Rock, know your role, right?
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time. There's so much other shit I wanted to talk about, but whatever. We're going to trust the process, and then we talked.
Yeah, and even talk about like recently. I'm diving into learning more about my Hispanic culture and all that shit.
Yeah. So there's a book. Yeah. It was recently published. Oh my God. I always forget the name because it's got a really cool, really complex name.
Right there.
Here's my phone. And I spent a year in a Mexican rehab.
I think I knew that.
And people always trip out on it because it's not like rehab here at all, right? And this lady recently wrote a book about it called The Way That Leads Among the Lost. And so I thought, and her name is Angela Garcia. She's actually a professor at Stanford. Mm-hmm. But so she, I heard that someone had written this book about what anexos is what they call rehabs in Mexico. And I bought it just as something that exists that validates my experience in an anexo in Mexico. And what I found was that it was really much more than that. It was like this deep dive into like social justice, Mexican history, culture of oppression in Mexico, the role of women within Mexico, and highly recommend. I'm trying to get her to come on the podcast, actually.
This is a shout out there.
Yeah. Shout it out. I actually emailed her. She emailed me back. She said she would do it. So
this is it. Call of action.
Yeah, let's go. It's going to be awesome.
I'll have to check it out.
But yeah, I mean, we could talk about Hispanic culture. We could still talk about...
Because that's something new right now. Like, I don't know if it's getting older and like the whole like, damn, like I didn't do that justice or, and there's just other stuff growing up in East Texas, Hispanic and the Selena complex of not being Mexican enough for your Mexican family and not being American enough for the American friends.
Man, I've been dealing with that my whole life.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
See, I've done work on that, but not on the imposter.
We could just, we could
swap some work.
Oh, you could steal my homework.
But, man, we haven't talked about relationships. We haven't talked about loss. Which I think is a powerful part of your story.
That's right. Yeah, my sister passed away.
But I don't want to do it injustice by hopping into it with 5 minutes left.
5 minutes.
Yeah. So
we need 5 minutes. Oh, you can so rapid fire.
Whoa, hold on.
Oh, okay. So I'm jumping the gun.
So we're gonna have you back on at some point.
Okay, I'm all for it.
We're gonna have Peter part two. Peter part 2 for sure. So yeah, it is time. It is time for rapid fire question time.
It's rapid fire question time.
I blew your surprise.
Spoiler.
Dude.
No, the loyal listeners know it's coming. So
they know.
All right, so I filled you in on the drill. 5 questions, real fast. Nothing crazy. Number 1.
Do not know what these are.
Which tattoo on your body do you regret the most?
The very first one.
Which is?
This skull on this. It was my first relapse, smoking crack with the guy.
Yeah.
Doing it.
So is it just poorly done?
Poorly done. Me, the guy doing it, and the stripper world smoking crack together.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, man. Galveston, Texas.
Galveston. Wow, that just consistently got worse. It was
every
like
state
crackhead, stripper world, Galveston, Texas.
And that was the...
All right. Question number 2. How many days have you been sober? Quick.
4 years worth?
Gotta give me a number.
A lot. It was... No.
All right.
Muchos.
Bastantes. All right. Number 3. So you're having a terrible day. What is your go-to music to change your mood and get you back into the right headspace?
Depressing music like Bright Eyes.
Yes. See, Jason would have loved you, man. Just the saddest shit possible.
It works, dude. There's science behind it.
Yeah. All right. Number 4. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Leonardo.
Yes. Good answer. And last but not least,
he's a crook. Huh?
Ben. He's a crook.
It's blue, bro.
Him and Snoop. Ben and Jerry's comes to you and they say, Peter, you know what? We want to make a signature Peter flavor of Ben and Jerry's. What do you want to call it? And what are you going to put in it?
I'm blanking, bro. I was just going to copy Rocky Road. That's my favorite ice cream.
All right, Rocky Road, but what are you going to call it?
No, what would I call it? It's Smoking Rocks.
Smoking. I was gonna say Petey Pablo.
Petey Pablo?
Yeah.
Pistol Pete?
Pistol Pete?
He used to call me Pistol Pete at the McCabe Center.
Yeah. That was your Pistol Pete. Fucking finger guns, Maldonado.
Hey, yeah, these are legal to carry.
Yeah. All right. Well, the last thing we do before we wrap things up is I give you the floor. You know, this podcast is watched and viewed, you know, actually in many different countries. We've got some viewers outside of the U.S. But, you know.
You big Japan?
But big in Japan. Absolutely. But so, you know, the floor is yours to, you know, leave our viewers with a message and promote your stuff. We didn't get to talk about what you're doing now with your new consulting business, but this is your chance to drop everything.
I mean, dude,
if you want to, you don't have to.
I could do like the real salesy kind of like,
you know,
pitch. But no, dude, I'm not gonna.
Oh, okay.
No, if people want to know, they'll look me up
and
they'll find me. There's ways to contact me. If you're interested in knowing professional life, career stuff, I think it's a little tacky to just go up here and just like,
what's your Instagram?
Be like a freaking dancing monkey dance, you know.
Well, I'm at least going to drop your Instagram.
You can
for you. Yeah.
But that's my, me having the floor is like,
go do your thing.
That's it. I'm not gonna be tacky and try to plug and get sponsored or whatever, do all these things and you know, reach out to Joseph. He knows my contact. He can text me.
Do I have your permission to drop your Instagram handle?
Absolutely.
Texas Sober Yogi. It's TXSOBERYOGI. Peter, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on the show. To get vulnerable and share with, I would say us. Yes, there is an us, about your experience, man. I had a blast. That hour went fast.
It was fast.
To you, our loyal listeners, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen, watch. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, do all those things. It helps us reach more people, that hopefully need to hear something that we talked about here today. And until next time.
Holy water.
Huh?
Holy water.
Holy water. Until next time, as we like to say here, there's 1,000 ways in and 1,000 ways out, and we hope you find yours.